Ever thought of having your own custom gear? It's actually a lot easier than you think. Hey, what's up? I'm Fitz. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how you can make your own custom logo and apply it to your clothes. Now, you could actually use this to do all sorts of designs, but I'm actually going to be applying it to my new basketball shoes. Firstly, let me show you these bad boys I picked up. This right here is the Ning Way of Wade All City 13. These are fantastic. I'm really happy with these shoes. I actually like them so much I picked up 2 pairs. Now, the reason why I picked this shoe is besides having all the really cool space lunar rover type design, I had the idea, and I've been toying around with this idea for so long, that I want to customize my shoes with my own logo. Now, there's a ton of different ways to go through and create your own logo, and I'm not going to sit here and rattle off a million different ways that my brain works, but just understand that there's more ways than one to go about this process. Now, to do this, we're going to have 3 steps we need to follow. The first step is design. We're going to need to physically design our logo to understand exactly what we're going to be printing. The next is preparing. We're going to have to make sure we get everything ready to rock and roll to make sure it's ready to get on the shoe. And the last is physically applying the logo to the shoe. Now, this is actually really simple. You can do this way more complicated than what I am, but let me show you what I'm doing. Now, when we do our design phase, we can actually apply this to various objects. It doesn't necessarily have to just be for shoes. You could apply this to a t-shirt, you could apply this to your bag, a hoodie, whatever you want. Now, we can see that there's all sorts of text and fonts and logos and colors that's on the shoe, and it's something we can factor into the overall design aesthetic. Luckily for me, I've picked up 2 shoes and they're both very simple in color schemes. Now, that one's predominantly white, this is predominantly black, but the process doesn't change. Now, this right here is Cricut. Cricut is basically, it's an art tool that allows you to cut vinyl and cardboard and paper and all sorts of stuff into images that you like. You can also use it for a bunch of different things, but we're going to be using its cut function today. Now, a tool that you could use is this website, DaFont. It's an amazing website. It's got all sorts of different fonts. We literally could come straight in here at the top bar, play around with the different types of font styles we like. If we found one that we really liked, let's say I wanted to use this one right here, but I wasn't sure what our text would look like, you could scroll down. It'll give you an idea of what the fonts will look like. But the other option is you could also use the custom preview, change the size. I'm going to go large just because I want to see it. And we're going to go here, and it gives us a couple of variations of what the font looks like. Great starting point before you download it. Now, the next thing you want to understand is in this right section here, just above the download button, there is a description, free for personal use. If you do want to use it for commercial usage, you have to reach out to the author and apply for a license. But we're going to be using our font for personal usage, so it's perfectly fine. Now, coming back into Cricut, I've already got my font that I want to use. All I've done is I've entered the font in for my initials, so CF. Now, what you could do here is really start to play around and position and shape how you want it to look. Now, you could be super simple and literally just make it the same size. You could play around with the negative space. You could do all sorts of stuff. Now, the idea that I've had for quite some time is basically to stack these fonts on top of each other like that to create this symbol. This right here, they're 2 individual fonts and we need to combine them. So we're going to come back, we're going to highlight it, and then we're going to the bottom here and we're going to press combine and we're going to go world. What this will do is it will stop it from separating and we'll create it as one image. Now that we've got our logo here, we've completed our design function. Let's get into step 2, preparation. Now, in preparing the actual shoe for its logo, we need to understand a couple of things. Looking at the shoe, there's a couple of spots that I like to use. I've done similar things for gifts for people, but this is actually going to be the first time I'm doing it for myself, which is why I'm so excited. The first place and the really easy, obvious place is to use the tongue. Now this tongue here has a logo. I don't want to go over the top of it because it's also a high wear area. This is something you want to consider in your placement. It's high wear because you can see right there that the laces go over it. So it's going to create some friction and it's eventually going to rub or remove the logo we've got. The other spot you could use is the toe box. So right here, we can see that there's already a logo. So this becomes off limits. But one thing you want to understand with this toe box area is it does bend and crease a lot. So it might not stick around for forever. So it's something to factor in. Another area I really like is using the heel, but in this one, we've actually got like a moon crater feature and I don't really want to play around with that. Now, my next favorite spot to put it is actually the area we are going to be using, and that is the rear quarter of the shoe. Now, this area right here is not a high wear area because it doesn't rub, it doesn't crease in this particular shoe. If you were to use it on the inside, it's an area where it's going to rub, have some contact, and you're more than likely going to rub off the logo. But this, highly unlikely to be affected. Now, I've just got a ruler, and what we're going to do is we need to understand the parameters of our overall space. Now, if we look at our area, we can see that we've got some text here, and we also have a white box right there. I want to work with that middle space. So I'm going to measure the width and the length of the absolute maximum space. Touching to touching, 5. So I know that my logo for this area right here can't be any bigger than 3 centimeters wide, 5 centimeters long. Now I'm going to play around with the size. I don't want it to sit right on the edge of that maximum space. So I really want to muck around with the sizing. Now for this shoe, I want to use black because I think black goes really well with the overall color scheme and design. It's also going to help stand out. Now with my black pair, I'm going to be putting it in the same spot, but I don't want to use black because it's going to get lost. So I'm going to go with red. This also does work because of the fact that there's little hits of red all over the shoe, and it's going to be a great way to help the logo stand out. I'm going to set up my Cricut and then we can get started into the next step. Now the way that it works is actually really simple. On the inside here, you have a blade and it's going to trace out the space that you're cutting. It's going to trace it out onto a board, which then has vinyl put over the top of it. Now this sheet here is so old, it's actually lost its tackiness, but I still use it. Now I've got some vinyl. I like to hold on to these offcut bits because there's random jobs like this that end up coming up and you don't want to throw a whole roll away. This stuff can end up getting expensive if you use too much of it. I'm now going to go through and get this taped on. Now I'm only going to use sticky tape because it just needs to be held in place while it does its thing. And we're just going to rinse and repeat for the red now. Okay, now I've cut the excess away and I'm basically left with 2 pieces of black and 2 pieces of red. Now you can actually see better on the black. This right here is the transfer sheet side. So you can see the logo right there. Now it's actually cut through on this end here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a weeding tool. Now, when I first started using this machine, I didn't have all the right tools. And I actually used a thumbtack. Thumbtack also works, but we're just gonna literally drag and take all the excess away. And that right there is what you're left with. So this actually goes on that way onto the item. So you're gonna end up seeing your logo on the front. But it's simple as that, man. Now that we're prepared, we need to go ahead and apply it. So let's do that now. We need to set up our heat press. I'm using a easy press, which is another Cricut item. I've actually got a website over here that you can use, and you can enter in the type of machine that you're using. You can also enter what type of material you're transferring and what it's being transferred on, and then it will tell you what the temperature needs to be. So this is 280 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 seconds for firm pressure. So I've set it to 285 just to be on the safe side. And we need to prep the shoes. So one thing you don't realize is take these shoes, right? I haven't physically worn these shoes, but we're going to be applying it right here. Now there can be micro oils, there can be protectants, there can be all sorts of stuff that's on there, and we want to get that stuff off to then transfer the image. If we don't do it, you can still get it on, but it generally doesn't last as long. So you want to make the most out of this and just get this done. I'm just going to set up over here. I'm going to put some isopropyl alcohol down, and then I'm going to use some Q-tips or cotton sticks, whatever you want to call them, and I'm just going to rub the area. This right here is a heat protectant mat. I'm actually going to apply this on the inside just to protect my hand, because that is a really hot surface. Okay, so this is tacked on perfectly. I don't think I need to do as hot as what I'm doing, so I'm just going to change it back down to the appropriate temperature and continue on with the rest. These have turned out fantastic. I'm really happy with how they look, specifically this black pair, man. The white also looks really awesome too. I think I think they came out really good. Now, I'd love to know from you beautiful people out there your thoughts and opinions. I do think that there is a million different ways to do this. You don't necessarily have to do heat transfer. You could do paint. You could do, that's about it. I think paint and heat is probably the best bets if you're wanting it to stick around. I would dare say that there is other ways that you could do this, but this is the way that I would suggest to do it. Now, guys, listen, this isn't the first craft project I've had on this channel. If you'd really like to help me out, a great way to do that is jump in the comments, let me know what you think of the video, like, subscribe, share, help your boy out. But listen, until I see you next time, make sure you're looking after yourself, you take care and be safe. All right, peace.